Solutions is presented by Sean Lafferty, General Manager of Steinel America. Now everyone, as questions come up, you have a few ways to get them answered. At the bottom of your screen, you should see a menu that includes Q&A, chat, and raise your hand. You can ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A window. Just type those in. We will open up the phones to ask a live question at the end of the presentation. If you would like to ask a question at the end, please press the raise hand button so that we can unmute you. So with the housekeeping complete, I will go ahead and turn it over to Sean.
Okay, thanks, Casey. All right, so this is the second in our most recent relaunch of the webinar series. Last time we talked a lot about the different features and functions and the capabilities technically of our products to satisfy code requirements. We'll touch on that very briefly at the end. Kind of go over some of that again, since we may have a few new audience members today. But the focus of today's discussion is really more about all the things that make our products just a little easier for contractors to use, all the features and benefits that just make it a superior product, easier to install, and deliver some of the cost savings that we think are out there for our contractors. So as Casey mentioned, this is our For Contractors Standalone Control Solutions presentation. And a little bit of background on the company for those of you who may be new to Steinel. We are a company that is very much focused on innovation. Our new branding is the Inventor's Company. And really the idea here, we've got the two circles from idea to product is the idea, from acorn to oak tree, if you will. So how does that happen? Our company is all about thinking outside the box, taking a closer look at things that other competitors may be taking for granted, and adding more things into our product, creating more value-add features and functions without increasing costs. So we all know that it's important to keep things, first cost is always the most important thing when we're looking at construction projects. We're always looking at ways to keep the cost down, while still adding in more value-add features into our basic products. And so as we go through this today, we'll show you a few things to highlight that. And I think the last piece of this, the four things we really want to hit on. Why did we want to focus on contractors? We've done a lot of things to make our products just a little easier to install and commission. We focus very much on high quality. As you can see on the right-hand side, our products are made by ourselves in Europe, with very high quality standards. We pay a lot of attention to that. And then it's just better technology, which in a lot of ways helps deliver some of the cost savings and helps make it easier to install. And then the last piece that we want to touch on is you're going to see throughout this presentation how we're more cost effective than some of our competitors and other solutions out there. So as we talked about last time, again, we put all the power into our standalone controls that are typically reserved for network control solutions. So in our standalone products, we have the ability to do plug load controls. We have the ability to do multi-zone dimming, daylight harvesting, vacancy sensing, fail-safe operation, independent automatic HVAC control. So all of these capabilities that we pack into our standalone products are typically items that drive people to start using network control solutions. But because we have our Super Duty power packs and we've got the DIM24 version of our sensors that allow for dimming control, our COM2 sensors that have outputs to HVAC systems, as well as our power packs that can also interface with HVAC systems, all of that combined with integral sensors, photo sensors on board our occupancy sensors means that we can deliver all of that functionality in a standalone solution, which tends to be at least no more than half the price of what you're going to pay for a network control solution out there in today's market. And you can see there our smart remote, as well as the manual ways of commissioning, much simpler, and we'll get a little bit more into that as we go. So one of the things that we didn't really talk too much about last time is some of the the ways we make it easier to work with us. We take great pride in customer care and customer support. We have fast shipping. So we typically, I just got a call this morning on a project that popped, and they wanted product on the job site by Friday, which for us is absolutely no problem. So it was a decent sized project, and we had everything in stock for that order. It's going to go out today, and we're not even going to have to ship it overnight. It's going to ship 3-day down to Florida from Bloomington, Minnesota. So we carry a lot of stock on hand. We carry 2 to 3 months inventory of most products. So we really take pride in being able to get product out the door quickly. You get your order in, we get it out that same day typically. We're quick on layouts and quotes. So if you have a project and you need to cross it, or you need to provide a solution, maybe it's a design build type of situation, we can get you a layout. We typically ask 48 hours. Oftentimes we can get simple layouts done in under 24 hours. On more complex projects, obviously, it may take us a bit longer to get it completed. And when we get really backed up, that can extend to 72 hours. But for the most part, we're able to get layouts and quotes turned around in 24 to 48 hours, which we know is important as you're trying to get jobs bid and closed. And a lot of times, we just don't have as much time as we'd like. So we also have our technical support who, we answer the phone. I get the comment a lot of times from our customers, what's great about your technical support is you actually answer the phone. I guess it's a low bar out there, but yeah, we've got our tech support available. You can call and we'll take your call and walk you through whatever technical questions you may have, and we can get most of what needs to get resolved done over the phone. Samples. So if you need to demonstrate to an end customer, what the product's going to look like, or you need to see for yourself, you want to test it in your own offices, we do have samples available. Talk to your regional sales manager. Let us know about what the project is and the timing. We'll put a sample in your hands to help you, win the project. And I think that the last bullet on here, and probably the most important one, is our return rates. We'll talk a little bit about the ways we're saving cost on the job site, but 0.25% of our products are returned for defects. That is significantly less than 1%. So you don't need to over order, and that when the product ships, it's going to work. So we don't have that typical problem where you may have 1 to 3 or 5% failure rates out in the field, and either you're over ordering and having to process a return, or you're ordering what you need and then you're finding out on the job site that you need to order 3 more because you had defectives. So our products come very high quality. We put a lot of focus on testing and making sure that every single product is working before it goes in the box and gets shipped to you. So more on that. High quality reduces callbacks, right? So you can see there in the upper right side, the products that we make are very durable, right? We use heavier grades of plastics. And, little things like, if you look at the diagram there, we've got a metal chassis on there, right? So you've got a stainless steel plate that's going to hold the switch there, in place. So as you power drill that in and you crank your power drill all the way up to 10 out of 10, and you pound that in, some competitive product is going to bow or flex or crack. And when you go to put the cover plate over the top of it, it's not going to look right? Whereas, we put just a little more durable product together where we add that steel plate in there at a minimal additional expense. But what it does is it holds everything firm. And when you put power drill that at 10, it's going to hold fast. And when you put the cover plate over the top, it's going to be nice and flush. You can see also, we make a big point of the sensors work. That's another one, a comment that I get is, yeah, your sensors just work. It's amazing how many times we put competitive product in there. Might be a little cheaper from China or from a major brand that sources in China, but it's cheap, it's flimsy, and a lot of times they just flat out don't work, and your return rate's a little higher. We actually test every single piece of equipment as it comes off of our line before it goes in the box, each and every sensor. We don't batch test, we don't sample test. we test each and every fixture to make sure, each product to make sure that it is going to work when you power it on. You can see also, we put a little extra into the durability and life of the product. You can see the competitive shot there where somebody's poked their thumb through the lens. You see that all the time in public restrooms, at coffee shops, gas stations, convenience stores. You'll see somebody's put their thumb through the passive infrared lens. Sometimes that's because you can't distinguish the button from the lens. Sometimes it's vandals, but either way, we put a very durable and robust lens on there so that you can hammer that with your thumb as hard as you want. You're not going to be able to punch a hole through that. So really durable product, really high quality. And we just put a little extra into it to make sure it's going to work and not give you any issues on the job site. Okay, better technology, right? So this is another way we're going to drive cost savings for you. So another way we're going to keep you from having to make a second trip out to the job site is because our sensors, as I said before, they just work. So the coverage you're going to get, if you see there on the upper right-hand side, we've got a square coverage pattern with our IR Quattro HD and our IR Quattro sensors. What does that do for you? Well, what that does is it means you don't have gaps in coverage, first of all, right? So where you can see those two sensors doing the job of one of our sensors are leaving open spots in between the coverage pattern. So you can see it's circular. So you've got this little area over here where you have no coverage. And as you go down a little bit further onto the diagrams, this was laid out by our competitor with 16 sensors. And there's put a lot of overlap in, but you can see some of these corners, it looks like there's going to be some gaps in here where there's not going to be very good coverage. Whereas with 6 Steinel sensors, we're using less than half as many as they are. And you can see those squares are covering all the corners. So you're not going to have the issue of the lights going off while your tenant is sitting there and having to go out there and see what's going wrong when it's really just a matter of the sensors that, if you put in the competitive sensor here, you're going to have dead spots where there's no coverage and the lights are going to turn off while people are potentially sitting in the space. We also provide, with our IR Quattro HD, 4,800 points of detection with 4 pyro configurations. So we've got 4 sensors under the lens, etched really well so that you've got 4,800 points of detection. Why do I care about that? That may sound like a crazy excessive amount. Typical competitive product is either 48 or 96 in the high definition versions of their products. With 4,800 points of detection, what you're going to have is this square coverage is fully covered. We have a point of detection everywhere. And so if you've got minor motion, just the tiniest motion, a hand turning the page of a book will be enough motion for our sensors to pick up that movement. Whereas in the competitive situation, they're providing you with just enough coverage, what's called tangential motion. And that tangential motion could mean as much as 3-foot gap between 2 points of detection. So out here on the edges, where you see there's a little white spot between the 2 pink lines, that's a dead spot. There's no coverage there. And that's because they only have 48 points of detection coming off of this particular sensor that was used in the original layout. So again, this is going to be a matter of we don't have false ons and we don't have false offs, right? And that's going to keep you from having to go back out to the job site. It's also going to mean, since you're installing 6 items instead of 16, your install time is going to go down. So in order to get the controls in place for this kind of a project, you're basically at half the labor since you're installing six sensors instead of 16. So just again, another way that we're helping driving cost savings through better technology. We've also got 2 methods of commissioning. We'll talk more about that in a minute. We've got 2 methods of commissioning, the manual and the remote. But even more important than how easy they are to commission, we have them set up out of the box to be compliant with the most advanced energy codes. So what we did in the middle of last year with IECC 2018 being adopted in many places across the country, we modified our firmware so that when you take the product out of the box, the factory settings are set to be compliant with IECC 2018, which is also very similar to California Title 24 and the more advanced energy codes you're seeing adopted across the country. So out of the box, we are already pre-commissioned to work with most of the energy codes throughout the country. Now, you can still have a user requirement where you may want to dial things down or up or change the way it's configured, and we make that very easy as well. But again, we'll catch that in just a minute.
Hey, Sean, we do have a question. I think you talked a little bit about micromotion. So the first question was, how do your sensors handle the micromotion situations, which you did talk about. And the follow-up is, how does this compare to ultrasonic sensors?
Yeah, so a great pair of questions. So micromotion, basically, we have micromotion detection in our sensors because we provide 4,800 points of detection. So it's just embedded. You're going to have micromotion just by default. Now, how does that compare to ultrasonic? You know, ultrasonic is great. We sell a ton of ultrasonic. We have ultrasonic. We love ultrasonic. There are applications where it is absolutely the right technology. However, we definitely see it being overused and mistakenly. I think there's a lot of folks out there, particularly in the engineering community, feel like, well, if I just put ultrasonic, then I'm double covered and then I won't have any false offs. That may be true, but you are also more likely to have false ons. And so what you may discover is there may be some non-human motion in a space that causes an ultrasonic to continue to keep the lights on. A couple of great examples that we ran into. We had a job site where a contractor was asked to go back to the job site because the lights stayed on all weekend. Brand new install, they finished up, and the building owner noticed that on Saturday night he was driving past his building and saw that the lights were on. So called the contractor to come back out and take a look at it. And what had happened was they had a 40th birthday party where a bunch of balloons, a big pack of 20 helium balloons, were hanging around in the office, and they were moving around with the air conditioning, and that motion was being mistaken for human motion and kept the lights on. The solution that they ended up doing is they ended up desensitizing the ultrasonic. They turned it down. And they turned it down so far that they really were not getting the benefit of ultrasonic at that point. And we see that in a few places where, people have insisted on dual tech, no matter how much we tell them the right technology for that application might be infrared. Some people just insist on having dual tech. And in some cases, from time to time, we have to go out, and when we troubleshoot it, we realize this is a bad place to install dual tech. A lot of times people will take a ultrasonic sensor and put it right next to an air vent. No matter how much you tell people that not to do that, they wind up in those places, and that can cause some issues. Another example was a storage facility where we recommended passive infrared. They ordered dual tech, put dual tech in, and what they found out was all the banging of the garage doors inside the facility were causing the ultrasonic sensors to pick up motion and keep the lights on. So again, all we had to do is we went in and just turned off the ultrasonic portion on those. So we don't always recommend dual tech. There are places where dual tech is the preferred solution, but there's a lot of places where you can use passive infrared. And with our passive infrared being so precise with micromotion, you really don't need to put dual tech in very many places. So appreciate the question. That's a good one. Okay. Moving on. So some of the other things that we do that make our products just a little easier to install. First off, it's standard 18.3 wiring, right? So we're using low voltage wires. We're instead of Cat 5. Boy, we hear a lot of horror stories from the field about Cat 5 and the difficulties of you have two choices. You can buy pre-cut, right? Very easy, snap, snap, and it's done. The problem is the cost on that. You're winding up in many cases, you need a 10-foot length, a 25-foot length, or a 50-foot length. Well, it depends if you're going to a wall switch or if you're going to the sensor, from where to where are you going. And so a lot of times on these job sites, that just to keep it simple, they'll order everything in 25 or 50-foot lengths. And what you wind up with is coils sitting up in the plenum of wasted cable. And so that's got a huge added cost. So then people start going over to say, well, okay, I'll do my own terminations. But if you have ever done Cat 5 terminations, you've got 8 small terminations to do on either end of the cable. giving you 8 opportunities to make a mistake. And during commissioning, we hear a lot of horror stories about the number of re-terminations that a commissioning agent has to do. So the good news on standalone, simple 18.3 wiring, very easy low voltage wiring. You know, it's very easy to go. We just basically give you a power pack, a sensor, and a switch. So you're not having to find a controller somewhere in the ceiling. It's all standard low voltage. You know, obviously we run line voltage to the power pack, but from the power pack out, it's all low voltage from there. You can see we've got multiple mounting options. So this is our back plate. You can see here we've got a couple of screw holes, and those screw holes allow for different size junction boxes you can mount to, as well as spring clips, so you can just cut a hole in a ceiling tile. It's a plenum rated product, so it doesn't have to be encased. So you can just spring clip it right to the ceiling tile. That tends to be the most popular installation method. We also go the extra step of we know the first thing you're going to do on the job site. You're going to take the product out of the box. You're going to have the junior guy. Some people call it staging. You know, we at the factory call it throwing away the instructions, where basically all the information we're providing at the point of install gets thrown in the garbage. Well, so what we did to counteract that is you've got the wiring diagram right there on the back of the product. So you can throw away the box, you throw away the user's manual, whatever else, but you still got the wiring diagram right there as the electrician is up on the ladder. So nice, easy way to just provide a little refresher right there. And then, yeah, the last one, we also do 2 independent relays. That really probably belonged more on the technology slide, but we can do 2 independent relays, one for HVAC control, a standard contact closure output, as well as a relay for a circuit. So another question, do you have combo sensors, motion and daylight? Great question. I think I very quickly skimmed over this. Absolutely. All of our sensors, all of our occupancy sensors include a photo sensor on board. So that is a standard part of the product. And with the DIM 24, we can also do full daylight harvesting using the motion sensor, using the daylight sensor, and then the 0 to 10 volt output. Great question. Okay. So the commissioning process, I'm not going to get into the technical details. This is not intended to be a technical training, so I'm not going to go through all the possible features and functions and how we set the dip switches and dials in order to accommodate for those things. If you'd like more information and a deeper dive on exactly how to set the settings in order to get the results you're looking for, feel free to reach out to your regional sales manager or to our tech support team. Happy to have that conversation with you in a more detailed way. But for the purposes of our presentation today, I just wanted to make it clear that we have manual programming available. We recognize that out in the field, not everybody wants to use a newfangled app on their phone in order to program or make any commissioning modifications on the device. And you can see here we've got a couple of dials. These are related to the daylight harvesting functions. You've got here the timeout, so you take a micro screwdriver and you can change the timeout on the sensor. You've got some dip switches down here, which allow you to go switch between auto on and manual on, for example, and some of the other settings that you can modify. But so we do provide that where the installing contractor on the spot can make the changes physically on the device. Makes it nice and easy, very simple, kind of, like I said, the old school way of doing it. We also provide an app. And so the app is available in both iOS and Android. And what the app allows you to do is you basically take our smart remote device, which is really just a simple transmitter. It takes the Bluetooth signal from your phone and converts it to passive infrared, so you can use it like a remote control. You point it at the sensor, you make your changes there on the app, you point it at the sensor, you hit send, and away it goes, and it updates all the settings inside the sensor. So you can do it from the floor. And this is particularly helpful if you're going to have someone run around and validate the commissioning after the install. You don't have to get up on a ladder and physically touch any of the devices. You don't have to remove them. You can just basically just hit them right there from the floor. So this can save time and money on factory commissioning. You don't need to have a Steinel guy fly in at $2,500 a day and commission your system. It's so simple and easy. You know, the installing contractor or electrician can typically do it themselves. You know, our representatives across the country, we have agents in every major market. Our agents are well qualified. It's really very simple. They're all equipped with smart remotes, so really, really easy. You don't need to spend the time and money to schedule somebody. Oh, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks before we can get a factory tech out. Completely unnecessary. We do also have the ability to save profiles. So if you're going to be commissioning, let's say, an office, and you want all the office spaces to be identical, you can just program it, save it, walk into the next room, hit it again over and over. So just keep repeating the same setting, or you can slightly modify it as you go. But really, really simple, you know, copy-paste type approach. What else? Yeah, no laptop required, and very easy to make changes. You can see the slider bars there, you know, and check boxes.
Sean, we do have another question. Are your standalone solutions upgradable to an enterprise system? Also, what about adding demand response into your system?
Yep, great questions. Yeah, so in standalone, the only way we're going to be able to integrate into an enterprise system is through the dry contact closure output. It's not a true integration really, but it does allow you to at least take the occupancy data and send it over and provide a signal to a BMS system. So in the strictest sense, no, we can't really convert it into an enterprise system, but we can interface to a BMS, and we can send signals out, you know, to the BMS. As far as demand response, yeah, now you're getting a little bit beyond a standalone control solution. Once you start factoring in, you know, with Title 24 at 10,000 square feet, yeah, you're no longer going to be able to do a pure standalone solution. We do find in many cases that our sensors will interface with many of our competitors and partners' products. We have a terrific partnership with Crestron, for example, where our sensors can be used directly with the Crestron system. We've also done installs out in the field with a variety of other enterprise type systems that can manage demand response and some of the more advanced networked capabilities. We will be launching a network controls platform in the coming months, but at the moment, all these great standalone sensors are just that, standalone, and not integrated to the enterprise, and not capable of accepting a demand response signal. So there are some limitations here. We can't do everything. All right. Moving on. So here's a little bit more information, or just, you know, some more examples of how the app works. So when you pull open the app, you know, you've got presence detectors and wall switches, and you know, it's pretty cool. The wall switches that we have, you know, we can also program those and do smart commissioning. You know, our wall switches are actually also very deeply packed with lots of power, features, and functions. You know, we've got photo control in the wall switch. We have a photo sensor, and you can see here in this particular application, it's set to force off if you've got enough light coming into the daylight sensor, for example. On the DT dim, we can also set low level brightness, and we can do 0 to 10 volt dimming off of the wall switch. So you've got some settings here that you can see. All the way to the right, these are some of the more classic features and functions on the sensitivity of the sensor, right? So do you want max reach, or do you want something a little less? You know, when do you want the timeout? What light level do you want to use for the force off? You know, obviously, what operating mode do you want it in? Partial on, manual on, or auto on? So a lot of this stuff is programmable. Once it's programmed, though, that's it. It's set. And you can obviously reprogram it later with using the app, but not the user himself, right? You can't just go to the switch and change it. All right. That takes us through most of the highlights of the features and benefits. I did pass over one thing I would like to go back real quick and address, and that is here on the simple install. One thing I forgot to mention is that we have a modular system. And so you can see here, we've got the back plane is removable from the sensor head. So you take the sensor head off, you can attach the back plane, and then you can come in and attach the sensor head at a later point in the install. So maybe during rough end, you install the sensor plate, and then you can bring the sensor head in later so nobody is painting over the top of the sensor head, for example. You also have the capability within our sensors, if you're using, for example, a hallway sensor in the corridor, and let's say an ultrasonic in your restroom and a passive infrared in an office, and you get them installed in the wrong places, you can pop the sensor head off of one and install it on the other. You can also, if you decide to go dual tech and you find that there's a lot of interference in the space and you want to switch it over to passive infrared, very easy to pop the head off and switch it with a passive infrared sensor head. So a couple of really nice benefits there due to the modular construction on the sensor. Okay. We have here a couple of applications. So if you saw the presentation we did last week on code compliance, these are a few of the same. So this is not the whole set. We've got a number more applications that we can talk about and how our standalone controls work in those spaces. But we just wanted to review just a couple, and we chose to stick with the office. So we didn't include in here anything about storage facilities, warehouses, schools, or hospitality. Some of the other applications we can do with standalone. We're just focused here on a typical office space. So we just wanted to go through a few things here. So for example, in an open office environment, in this particular case, we've gone with 4 ultrasonic DIM 24s, and some of the capabilities we're looking to provide here, we've got, because we've got the DIM 24 with the photo sensor on board, you do have the ability to do daylighting in any daylighting zones. We're using the TR200 power pack to power those. And you can see we've got 2 power packs powering the 4 sensors. And then we've got a momentary contact switch at each of the doorways, right? So we're providing automatic off. We're providing partial on with the dimming control. You've got override on 2 different zones with the momentary contact switch, where you press to hold, it'll dim up. Press and hold, it'll dim up. Press and hold again, it'll dim down. So you're providing manual override as well. And you've got receptacle control. You've got one of the power packs powering the 4 sensors. The other power pack is controlling the circuit. The receptacle. So we're providing receptacle control here. So you've got receptacle control, you've got daylight harvesting, you've got manual user override, you've got partial on ability, and you've got vacancy mode. All those capabilities covered in a 3,500 square foot area for roughly $800 pricing to the contractor, list price. So we think that's a really strong value proposition in a small to mid-size office application. And again, at 3,500 square feet, this wouldn't qualify or require demand response. So for a small office solution, we would recommend something as simple as a wall box. So we've got a dual tech dimming switch here, and basically it's going to provide auto off. You can set it to partial on or manual on, your choice. It's configurable that way with the app, and that's it. You're just installing that one item. It's about $100 to provide all that feature and function into that office space. In a slightly larger office, let's say 600 square feet, where you've got 6 fixtures in this case, we're going to provide a auto off capability, user choice of partial on or manual on to be code compliant. We've got, again, the momentary contact switches here at the 2 doorways to provide manual override of on off as well as dimming. And you've got receptacle control, again, using 2 different power packs to power coming off the sensor, manual on or partial on. So the one power pack will control the receptacle, automatically turning on as soon as there's occupancy detected. And basically this setup with 1 sensor, 2 power packs, and a pair of momentary contact switches, you're about probably under $300, purchase price to the contractor.
Sean,
so really cost effective.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have another question.
Yeah.
Do you offer power packs which can handle EM power, i.e. a small medical office, which would have a generator versus a battery backup in the fixtures?
Yep. Yeah, so we do have EM product, emergency products, UL 924 products that we can add in conjunction. We didn't highlight those here, but absolutely we do provide emergency power solutions. Okay, very good. Okay, the conference room. So this is another one. A lot of debate and discussion about this one the last time we talked about it. But basically what we have here is we have a user requirement in addition to some code requirements. We've got a pendant mounted fixture here in the middle. And with a pendant mounted fixture here, we would prefer to use corner mount occupancy sensors. So you mount them here in the corner by the door. This way, you get projection into the room. We use a dual tech because there may be some line of sight blockage due to that pendant. We don't know exactly how far that's going to hang down. And so rather than go with a passive infrared here, that's a case where we might recommend a dual tech. We might go with one in opposite corners just to be sure that we've got coverage despite what's going on in the middle here. Most likely with the dual tech in a room this size, you could probably get away with just one. Any bigger than this, you would probably need 2, but at this size, we've opted to go a little bit safer on coverage and put 2 sensors in. We've got a panel here of 3 dim switches. And we're using the what we call our IP710 slide dimmer. You can see the picture here. It's got a button and a slide dimmer for 0 to 10 volt. And we've got 3 different zones. We've got a presentation zone up front. We've got the E1 and DZ1 dimming zones, right? So these 3 are all together on DZ1. These are off of DZ1, and then we've got a separate light over here. So we've got 3 different on, off, and dimming solutions here. We've got basically this battery of 4 power packs over here. One of them is, again, doing the receptacle control, but then the other 3, 1 each for the dimmers, allows manual override on those 3 circuits using the 3 different dim switches. So again, we've got a variety of dimming control requirements. Now, in many cases, you might go to a room controller type solution with a programmable wall switch here, but we're able to get this entire room done, sensors, switches, and power packs for $600 with this configuration. So a really cost-effective way to provide that level of user control. And I think that's it. Yeah, that was the last application. Again, we've got quite a few more applications that we've laid out here in similar fashion. If you'd like more information on that, please reach out to your regional sales manager. You can find your regional sales. If you don't know who your regional sales manager is, you can find them on www.steinel.net. And just to recap, the key takeaways for us here, we think we've got some products here. Our standalone products are much easier to install and commission than what's out there in the marketplace today. Really saves a lot of money that way. You know, our high quality, the product that arrives to the job site, it arrives on time, it arrives working, and you don't need to mess around with returning excess product because you don't need to order excess, wondering what the return rate is going to be. The better technology allows you to do more with less. You know, so we can solve the problem with less expensive technology. We can use fewer sensors. It's going to drive even more labor cost savings for you. And overall, you're going to find this is the most cost-effective way to meet energy code. With that, you know, here's some contact information if you want to contact our tech team or the sales team. And at this point, I guess we'll open it up if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah, remember you can click the raise hand button so we can see who you are and we can unmute you. Otherwise, you can type in a question in the chat window or in the Q&A. We can give anyone seconds to do that.
Well, while you guys are thinking and typing up questions, you know, I'll just give another plug to our layouts guys. You know, if you want to test us, you know, if you want to see what we can do, I mean, I'm telling you all these things we can do with a very simple set of solutions. Send us a layout. Send us something that you were going to do with a competitor's product or that was designed and laid out with something else. And I assure you, we can definitely save you some money. We can almost always cut 20 to 30% out of the bill of materials just because of our coverages alone. So that alone, plus, you know, we'll do the layout for you. We can get you a quote and we can get it done in 24 to 48 hours. So please bombard us with technical requests and layout requests. We'd love the opportunity to support you guys that way.
Okay, so the only question we've gotten a couple times where people are wondering if this PowerPoint will be available online, and of course it will be. It'll be posted in our training and education section. There is a link to that in our chat window, but you also will receive an email within a couple days letting you know that it has been posted. And other than that, we have no raised hands and we do not appear to have any more questions.
All right. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out, making the time to go through this webinar with us today. Look forward to working with you and stay safe out there. Okay. Bye.